I never thought I'd see the day. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, for those of you who are coming in late to the game and don't actually know what this is, well, here's the lowdown. So this is actually the third movie of the DC Comics Justice League film series, starting with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. And then there's the spin-offs Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, and Aquaman, which I think chronologically comes after this film. Pretty sure. Zack Snyder is the main director of this main series of films, and he's been an incredible visionary director in the past, for better or worse, story-wise, which makes him an ideal candidate to direct superhero flicks. So when he was directing Justice League a few years back, he had some kind of tragedy in the family and had to leave the project. And so Warner Brothers hired Joss Whedon, who was the man who helmed the first Avengers movie, which was a big success, so it seemed like a no-brainer. So Joss Whedon tried to piece together what Snyder shot and what he shot and put together a film that got fairly lukewarm reviews. And that movie came out in 2017, so ever since then, fans have been clamoring about a rumor saying that there was a director's cut of the movie. So of course fans campaigned and campaigned for years, and finally Warner Brothers listened and gave Zack Snyder a $30 million budget to go and do reshoots and make the movie that he had originally envisioned. And what was interesting is when Zack Snyder took the reins back for this film, he actually scrapped anything that Joss Whedon shot. He did not use one frame that he shot. So this is all Zack Snyder, straight up his vision. And here we are. Zack Snyder went back and made a 4-hour-long Justice League movie with plenty of small changes and a few big ones. And now you can find it streaming on HBO Max, which is also separated into parts. So for the sake of this review, I am going to be talking about spoilers. Not necessarily all of them, but I am going to be talking about a lot of the changes or additions they made to this film. But first, I'm sure you're all wondering, is this movie better than the original 2017 version? Yes, but does that make that a great movie? Not necessarily. So the general plot is the same. After the death of Superman in the previous movie, Batman and Wonder Woman are trying to recruit a new team of superheroes, including Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. And together they need to stop an incoming alien invasion, led by their leader, Steppenwolf. So those elements are essentially unchanged. So WB said they have no plans for future sequels, but with a whole new campaign of #restore the Snyderverse, I mean, anything's possible. So I'm not going to go through every single change that they made, but I am going to go through a quick list of pros and cons of the changes they made, which I think will be a little better on time for this video, so here we go. The list of pros and cons will contain spoilers. Boop. Go to this time code to skip. And here are the pros. We get a lot more Cyborg this time around, including his origin story, getting that Zack Snyder visual style there, as well as showing off more of his powers and what they can do, and also showing how he can get his normal body back, kind of, as an avatar when he goes inside machines or even the mother boxes, making for some really cool visuals. As well as having more of his father, Dr. Stone, who actually plays an integral part to the main story, with his involvement with the mother boxes and his relationship to his son. Their dynamic is honestly so emotionally driven in this story, it really is the heart of the film. And his dad gives this really nice monologue at the end, replacing Lois Lane's, and honestly, it's for the better. And we get Darkseid, as goofy as that name is. But if you don't know, he's one of the big bads from the comic books, so the fact that he's in this movie really makes their world and the conflict so much bigger. And we also have an improvement on Steppenwolf, who's looking a lot more shiny and animated with his moving scale armor, and he's looking more gruff and tough and mean, and he has more of a motivation this time around, trying to prove himself to the big boss. We also got some Superman reshoots, getting rid of that whole digitally removed mustache, funky upper lip thing. Which, if you don't know the story there, Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, had to shoot Mission Impossible 6 while also shooting Justice League. But he was contractually obligated to keep a mustache for Mission Impossible, and he couldn't shave it off for Justice League shoots. So they had to digitally remove that mustache, which led to some really funky, infamous results. But it's gone now. Nothing but sexy chin. We also get a more complete arc for The Flash, at least when it comes to, the story of his father, as well as him getting a career in criminal justice. There was also the interesting decision to put this movie into a 4:3 aspect ratio, which most films are a 16:9 widescreen format. So I'm not really sure why Zack Snyder did this. Maybe because it's a multi-part series, he thought maybe 4:3 aspect ratio, which is more common for TV, made more sense for a series. Or maybe he just wanted to show off more of the picture, which just makes the picture smaller when it's trying to fit to our widescreen laptops and TVs nowadays anyway. Or maybe Zack Snyder's just crazy. And we also get additional characters, including Martian Manhunter, who doesn't really play a big role in this, but it's still really cool to see. We also get Ryan Choi, who's referenced to be the Atom from the comic books. We also get more Jeremy Irons as Alfred, which is always a delight. Especially that scene where he's trying to teach Wonder Woman how to make tea, which Wonder Woman is a lot older than him, so why she wouldn't have the knowledge to teach him how to make tea? Oh, whatever, it's cute. We also have the original composers, Thomas Holkenberg, coming back and rearranging some of the soundtrack, making for some really more epic sounding scenes. And when Superman returns, he goes to the ship and he actually hears the voices from both his daddies, which is just so sweet and so awesome. I really like that. It just hits a really nice emotional chord. And he also gets his black suit, which is a really nice nod to the comic books. And best of all is when Superman finally joins our heroes in battle, instead of talking about justice and being a fan of it or whatever crap, he now says this really kick-ass line. We also see more of the Amazons and how the sacrifice really affected their people. And there's no more funky orange sky or a weird Russian family that the heroes have to keep saving over and over. However, I'm going to put a big old but on that, and we'll get back to that later. And the motivation to bring back Superman makes a lot more sense this time around. You know, instead of just him being the leader, which, I mean, Batman, Wonder Woman are already pretty leader-like. It's more so he's the only one strong enough to fight Steppenwolf. And plus the team makes the decision instead of just an argument between Batman and Wonder Woman, so that's a really nice detail as well. And there's fewer quips in this movie, which the humor was pretty awkward in the original. There's no more of the Flash talking about brunch, and if you don't know the reference I'm talking about, good. And here are the cons. So one of the biggest issues for me at least was the color palette. God, it is so much darker, the contrast is cranked way up, the shots look way more desaturated, there's less color. It's actually harder to see certain things, especially with Superman's black suit, it sort of just bleeds into the background now. And I figured Zack Snyder was trying to make these changes because it would look more like his previous film, Batman vs. Superman, but that wasn't met with very good reviews. You know, and it reminds me too, it kind of looks like a lot of early 2000s superhero movies looking all dark and brooding, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why are you following the footsteps of movies that haven't done that well? And even though Steppenwolf does look better this time around, I still can't help but feel like he looks like a Lord of the Rings orc, which is pretty strange because he looks nothing like that in the comic books, so I don't know where that choice came from. We also get sprinkled with a few pointless scenes in the film, and by pointless I mean, if there are no future sequels, these scenes will lead to nothing. Which they certainly don't pay off in this film, which is already pretty long. These scenes include the Flash rescuing a girl from a car accident, Lois Lane being pregnant, and even some Aquaman movie tie-ins, which are kind of nice and add to the size of the world, but really doesn't mean much to us if we're watching this in chronological order. We also get the addition of these music scenes, while the characters are standing around silently as a song outside the soundtrack plays. These include Distant Sky for that Lois Lane scene, Song of the Siren for the Flash, There Was a Kingdom with Aquaman, and I'm trying to pronounce this, so bear with me. Visur Vatsinda Rosu, with those Nordic women whose songs kind of came out of nowhere and lingered in a very unsettling way. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. That was weird. And that extended Amazon fight scene was cool, but we already know they're going to lose, so this scene does seem kind of ultimately pointless, at least to keep adding on to the action. Which for some reason we focus a lot on the Queen mourning over the loss of these Amazon warriors, when really I think it should have been a mourning scene for Wonder Woman to have, because she gets so little spotlight to begin with in this movie. And plus being a main character and realizing she's lost some people she knew growing up with for hundreds of years, I feel like it would be kind of a big deal and a motivator for her in the final battle. And speaking of Wonder Woman and the Amazons, every time they show up, whenever they stand around, pose, fight, yell, they got this theme song that plays over and over again. Which is a damn good theme song, but when it plays this often, it's more comical than anything else. It's practically a goddamn ringtone at this point. And as cool as it was to cut out that Russian family because they got way too much attention, it does kind of make you wonder that Justice League never interact with the people they're trying to save. I mean, the Avengers are seen interacting with people they try to save, and it kind of grounds them into reality. But in the DC universe, there's this weird block where the heroes don't interact with the little people, making it feel very separated and frankly not as realistic. Honestly, one scene that kind of helped with this was this candid phone interview with Superman in the beginning of the original film. Yeah, I know we had the weird lip all up in your face, but nonetheless though, this was a really nice tender moment that I feel like is sorely lacking in this movie, which kind of leads to some other small cuts of the film. There's this moment where Cyborg and Superman have a close call, so they sort of laugh it off together. We don't have those tender, sort of organic human moments anymore. And other scenes where Aquaman sits on Wonder Woman's lasso and says something, you know, truthful. You know, it's kind of dumb, hokey, but it's funny. And for a 4-hour movie that's just so gosh darn serious, this film really needed some levity, either comically or at least humanely. And the last big one too is Batman going on about faith.
You'll be here, Alfred, I know it.
What makes you so sure?
Faith, Alfred. Faith.
Now, here's the thing. If he had some kind of arc pushing him to needing to have more faith in his life, okay, sure, whatever. You know, it's a little arc for him. But nothing's really introduced. And in the comic books, Batman is the world's greatest detective. His whole thing is that he's always prepared, is always one step ahead of his enemies. That's his thing. He has no superpowers. He has to do that out of necessity. So this whole Batman keeping faith thing seems contradictory to his character. But one of the greatest additions to this movie, in my opinion, is one of the final scenes. Jared Leto's Joker. So the scene is another post-apocalyptic future in a dark side occupied Earth, where heroes and villains are working together, and we have this really great conversation between Batman and Jared Leto's aged Joker. Honestly, the dialogue is so tense. There's a lot of subtleties in their tone and the way they talk, even about a history that hasn't even occurred yet, including the death of fan favorite Harley Quinn. Yes, I know fanboys, we're all sad. But honestly though, if there's any reason to continue this movie, it is for this specific scene. I need to see more of this. This was awesome. So overall, Zack Snyder's Justice League is an improvement over the original, but that's not really saying a heck of a lot. This film has the unfortunate task of making up for two lackluster predecessors, which you can polish a broken story all you want, but ultimately, it's just a passable superhero flick. And I only say that because we've had previous recent superhero team-up movies that have done it right. And it does kind of boggle my mind because Marvel set the framework about how to do this right. And for some reason, DC decided not to follow suit. And I think the consequences of that are pretty apparent. It's not like it got HBO too many more subscribers. And that's why Zack Snyder's Justice League gets my score of 3 stars. And overall, these ratings don't actually mean anything. I mean, I think I probably would have given the original film about a 2.5, and I mean, honestly, this version doesn't really justify a much higher grade, but what really wowed me is the fan base. It's the fact that it's the fans that had the power to sway studios to actually get the real version of this film to be made. To me, that's something that's so amazing that it's actually worthy of filmmaking history. The way that fans can interact with their creators and actually have a say and what they get in the end product. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Have you all seen Zack Snyder's Justice League? Or maybe the original? And if not, what else have you been watching lately? Comment below, let me know, and of course stay tuned right here if you all want to see more.